John, can you introduce yourself to everyone?
Hey, Arta. Hi, everybody. So I'm Jon Jackson. I am the entrepreneur in residence at Bucks Hubs, which is part of Oxford Innovation at Buckinghamshire New University.
And John, what do you do at your
Well,
center?
well, that's a question. So generally speaking, I do lots of different things. So my role at Bucks Hubs or at Oxford Innovation is to support other businesses that are members. So we have co-working space here and dedicated desks and sort of other workspace for startups. And so I'm here to work with them to I'd be a sounding board to help them work through kind of business problems, strategize, whatever stage they're at. So that's one hat I wear, but alongside that, I do have an academic role, teaching sort of on the computing and software, and I'm involved in some small startup projects myself.
That sounds exciting. Okay, I'm going to follow up with questions around that, but also wanted
Okay.
to give a short intro from myself. So my name is Arthur, and I provide business support similarly to John at Salford in Greater Manchester. We have a center here called Salford Innovation Forum, when we help all sort of businesses with connections, building products, go to market, and all the things which we're going to talk today about. So,
That's it.
John, when someone asks you, what is business support?
Yep.
What's your answer? How do you start?
Well, that's a good question. I think possibly you're the first to ask that directly, so this is a good a good chance to answer it. So it's multifaceted. I think within Oxford Innovation, the role that we provide in terms of business support, it does depend a lot on the businesses that we're supporting. So there's a massive difference between early stage startups or even individual entrepreneurs and when they're trying to get ideas off the ground compared to larger scale ups that are larger businesses. They have staff and they're already running and they need support with growth. So I think my specialism, and particularly it suits our innovation center, there's a lot of early stage startups and individual entrepreneurs, and that's where I spent a lot of my business life as well, on sort of small businesses and small startups. So in terms of what the business support involves, sometimes it's just being there to as someone to talk uh, to to almost coach people through their business problems, because
Sorry,
a lot
Nigel,
of
sorry, John, to stop you there. I
yeah.
think you touched on something really important that's like a specialism. And
Yeah.
personally, I find it quite unique about Oxford Innovation. So we have around 10 innovation directors
Yeah.
across the country. And what I'm finding super unique about our network and what we do and how we do it is that you, John, you have your specialist, and we can talk about it just in a
Mhm.
sec. Like today, I had a call from like a potential customer called Nigel, and Nigel called me, "Hey Arthur, I need help with raising funds. I found you on Google. How can you help me?" And the first question is like, "Are you based in Manchester?" And it's like, "Yes." Okay, brilliant. Come over for a chat. So my specialism would be to help and connect founders with investors, help them to prep for the pitch. And my background before doing what I'm doing was building products from like a startup to publicly listed. So
Nice.
I have my own little niche there.
Mhm.
Uh, but sometimes someone asks me like, "Hey, can you help me with my medtech product?" And I'm like, "I have no clue about medtech. How can I help
That's
you?"
it.
But then we have people in other locations that scaled businesses within that space.
Mhm.
And that's when it gets exciting because I'm then like, okay, Nigel, you should speak to this person, you should speak to this person. And then suddenly we plug founders to a network of over 700 businesses.
Mhm.
And that
That's it.
helps to like accelerate stuff.
So
So
the power of the network, right?
yeah, so touching on that, John, what's your specialism?
So I would say So as I've already mentioned, I think small scale, early stage startups, particularly technology focused, so digital technology, as that's my background. So I'm actually a web programmer by trade. So I write code, and I sort of build small products. But yeah, particularly so digital products, and because of my education background as well, edtech, educational technology has sort of been my recent focus over the last few years. And interestingly, one of my side projects, which I can talk about later, is kind of a ed tech project. So the university that I'm at actually has a very strong healthcare and um, nursing and medical educational focus. So I've found a lot of projects gravitating towards me, which I can provide support on, and a lot of our members joining Bucks Hubs are coming from medical or pharmaceutical or healthcare backgrounds as well, which is really cool.
So something really interesting you just mentioned now.
Mm.
It's so hard to find people that code, but
Yeah,
also have this like a business mindset. So you kind of bridge both and then bring products to the market.
that's
So
that
I
that's
see,
the idea.
I see clear value there. And I guess the question I would have for you, John, when businesses come to the center
Mhm.
and they have like a software challenge, how do you help them?
Yes, a good question. So I think what I, because of my experience, I mean, first things first, often I'm helping maybe non-technical founders navigate the questions and the maze and the all the difficulties around technology and how you can develop it and how you can build it. Even just a simple question, how much does a website cost, or how much does an app cost? You can write a simple brief for the same product, and you can send it to one company, and you'll get a quote for £5,000, and you send it to another company, and you'll get a quote for £100,000. And it's like, for a lot of people, that's really stressful because they maybe don't understand the difference, or they don't necessarily have the experience of knowing how their early stage decisions on tech will impact them further down the line as well. So it's my passion in just helping non-technical founders avoid headaches, avoiding stress, and often there's a simple and a kind of more lean way of developing a product or prototyping a product. For example, you don't need to pour hundreds of thousands of pounds into an initial version of a product necessarily. So I think that's something that I'm quite key message that I like to reinforce.
Great. Well, what I'm gonna ask for is like completely unplanned, okay? So if it's not just something you'd like to do, let me know. But we are both like technical founders, okay?
Yeah.
And I was just like thinking, what if we just come up with idea now
Mhm.
for software, okay?
Yeah.
And try to discuss between each other how would we bring it to the market?
Sure.
Okay, so let's come up with idea. Do you have any maybe concepts?
Oh, well, um, there's a few. Ideas. Yeah, ideas are easy, aren't they? Come up with any kind of idea. There's a couple of real ideas that are floating about. I don't know if we want to pick up on one of those.
Let's do that.
Um,
Yeah.
so one that's come across my desk from somebody I know quite well is, I don't know if this will be a good example or not, but it's essentially an ed tech tool to replace in-class training with on-device training for the emergency services.
Okay.
So this is an existing market where the emergency services have, or they are going to have, like Android devices instead of old school walkie-talkies, and they need to be trained on these devices. And that could either happen in the classroom or it could happen on the device. and there are potentially hundreds of thousands of these people that will need to be trained.
Okay.
Now, this is actually a real problem, or a real problem I've stumbled across because of somebody I know. And these are the kind of problems I love, because it's somebody who's in the industry, they're working in the industry, and they can see the problem and they're embedded. And then somebody like me comes along and says, "Oh yeah, I might be able to help build a prototype for that." And combined, you can create something interesting. I'm very keen on innovation. Tends to happen in the gaps, or in the where two different disciplines meet. But I won't go off on that.
Okay,
So, yeah,
how far the product is in this development? Is that like early concept?
Yeah, just early ideas. We're understanding the problem. We know there's a problem, and just some early PowerPoint kind of slides.
It's more like a B2B, B2 enterprise, right? So
very much so. Yeah, very much so.
What would be the potential client? Would that be like?
It would be government, essentially, Home Office, which is quite. But so it's a very specific niche. But then beyond, it could go to any other large institutions that need to roll out
what?
training.
I have something interesting. Healthcare, still within the healthcare, and it's still within providing training. Okay, so
cool.
I'm thinking about another concept where they're like a nurses, and it's also a real case scenario. So like nurses need training. Become qualified nurses, and there's a big opportunity to automate some of that training through on screen or even a virtual reality training. So before the actual person comes into the room for in-person training and exam, they can do a bit of a prep beforehand. So it's kind of like prepping yourself maybe for like a driving lesson test with the self-taught programs.
That sounds good.
So it's really interesting because it's like a B2B to C. Because they're like a businesses and they're like a nurses and they're all kind of need like recruiting new nurses, but you also have the element of training those nurses. So maybe the barrier to enter it's much lower than it would be with like a government. That's like
that's it. There's a lot resting on maybe a single initial contract, very high value initial contract, which is one way to build a business, right? If you see a very specific problem for a single client, and can you take the risk to invest in developing a product for that single client, and if you win that, then you have a sustainable business and you can expand. That's
interesting.
So it's that's one dynamic, right?
So I think there are like two kind of challenges, probably much more than two, but one it's like on a level of like how to build what the customers need, and then the second is how we get over the line the sale of enterprise product or B2B product.
That's it. So I'm intrigued by your idea, by the way, because healthcare education has become something quite interesting to me. So maybe we need to put our heads together on that.
You see, like when I think about it, it's like I would like build like a super cool front end, get like a landing page that tells what it is, what it does, and try to get the first 1 to 3 case studies. Get the experts on board, like all this stuff, and then what I'm saying, it just takes a lot of time. To first manually deliver the service, to build the educational materials, learn what works, what doesn't work, and then build the platform. And my always the initial gut feeling is how you build something that you can use things out of the box without spending much. So there's so many out of the box educational platforms that you can use, and they're like a white labeled. And then all you do then is like you upload your video content, and then you have your library. And then marketing wise, I would just like package it beautifully so it looks like it's a bespoke platform that was built over the past X years, and we have our USP, IP, like everything in this place for you. Just book a call.
Yeah,
And
that's
then
it.
running some sort of like a workshops, and then joining panels, conferences within that category, just to spread the.
Yeah, nice. I like the workshops and panels idea. That's a good one. I think I'd echo sort of what you're saying. So how would you take something to market? I think I'm a great advocate of the kind of lean startup sort of philosophy as well, which by sort of Eric Ries, and it's all about minimizing waste and learning, developing validated learning as early as possible. So your MVP or minimum viable product doesn't even need to be a digital product. I think that the classic example of Dropbox, which I always find sort of fascinating. Dropbox, as I think most of us know, is sort of huge sort of file sharing sort of company now. But they tried to launch a couple of times and kind of failed. But when they really hit the big time and got attention, it's because their MVP was a video showing how the product would work. And it showed it so perfectly and engaged their target audience so perfectly that people went crazy for it and signed up and they got investment. So they didn't even have the product.
So something really interesting here, John. So I was like listening, I think 2 days ago or a day ago, about the power of the waitlist.
Right, yeah.
By the founder and CEO of a company called Dent. And they also have another company called Scorecard.
Mm-hmm.
So they're launching this like a product called Waitlist. And that was like a power of the waitlists.
Mm-hmm.
And with products, especially the ones that take forever to build, having like this holding page where we visualize the end goal. So for this platform, what I would work with clients is like, okay, let's sit down together. I would just get a customer desk to desk, and we would build like a prototype in Figma together.
Yep.
And then rather than them spending thousands of pounds to get it ready, they get like in-house someone with like a CTO background. We sit down here, and it would cost them fortune if they were to engage with me outside of Oxford Innovation.
Yep.
So what's worth to mention as well, that all innovation directors at Oxford Innovation is like a part-time stuff. So John, it's like a few days a week, I'm like a few days a week, and we also run our businesses where we charge much more than it would be like on a, let's say, co-working plan at Oxford Innovation that our customers invest in.
Yeah, that's it.
So when, for example, me, I would like maybe sit with the customer, get this concept in Figma, get with the customer a landing page build, and I would have a chat with John. Okay, John, so we need like a few quotes from suppliers about how to actually build the platform. Can you maybe help us to put together a request for proposal?
Yep.
And that's a really strong framework then for like an early stage startup
Mm-hmm.
to have a landing page for their educational platform, have a working prototype that actually looks like a software and allows customers to test it with maybe early stage customers, and maybe get a bit of a waitlist going.
Yep.
Then maybe us promoting this on conversation like this one. And then, pretty much getting ready for the build. I think that's quite
Yeah.
incredible
That's it.
value there.
Yeah, that's it. So I think having whatever you end up going for, whether it's like a working prototype or like a Figma interactive sort of prototype, or the website, or a video, it's all about being able to communicate the user experience, isn't it? Because you want to be able to convey what the user experience is going to be like. I think that's why the Dropbox video story was so it worked so well, because it didn't just show screenshots of a product, it showed the user experience. Because the problem at the time, this was going back a couple of decades ago, was that file syncing, syncing your files across different devices was awful, unreliable. People would like lose files, it'd be deleted. So it kind of existed. It wasn't a fact that it was new, but it was that the user experience was going to be sublime, and they painted that picture. So again, that comes into the marketing and the messaging, doesn't it? But you've got to be able to paint that vision, and kind of get people really hooked on the concept, and ideally feel that they need it. It's not just a want, but they need it because it will solve their problems.
Oh, incredible. And you know what just crossed my mind right now? That we speak about like a high-tech B2B SaaS world, but we also work with a lot of traditional businesses like accounting firms, finance firms, property firms, that can really tap into this power of high, fast-growing tech AI tools. So what I'm finding here at our center is that when we apply a similar framework which we described right now, like a landing page, panels, workshops, AI content, and then creating this like a authority through all these actions. That's again a really unique offering, and I wished that there was like maybe more clarity. I guess maybe that's something for us to work on, how those businesses can tap to that.
Yeah, potentially. Yeah. There are so many tools out there, aren't there? There's no end of tools. It's just how can you leverage them? What's the benefit? And I know for many like non-tech founders or small businesses, it's trying to wade through, where can they gain most benefit from all this wave of technological advancement that we're kind of in the middle of, particularly when it comes to AI and generative AI, which I find fascinating in itself. I know you do as well.
You know what I'm finding quite fascinating, that there's like thousands of these tools, but what we always do with customers, there's this like a discovery strategy stage, right? So we see where we are now, and sounds very pragmatic, that. But then we kind of see the end and go, okay, that's our end goal.
Yeah.
And then we map this like a roadmap and trying to get, I think you would say, ducks in a row, right?
Yeah.
So we align tools for what we need to get done. And mostly what I'm saying, it's marketing, positioning, branding, the way people present product themselves, their team, on their websites and social. That's, and when it comes to everything else, AI can get a bit more complex, especially within like automations. You really need like an expert to do it for you, rather you can do it yourself.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a very interesting space.
Okay. So John, we are 23 minutes in.
Awesome.
So I have a question for you. Would you mind showing me around your center?
Sure, let's go for it. So yeah, I'm going to pick up my device and I'm going to carry you with me, and hopefully connection remains. So I am in I'm in an office at the moment at the university. I will show you just out the window. Hopefully you can see that. This is the big sort of university building.
That's a really cool view there.
So let's go on a walk. So because I straddle the university and Oxford Innovation, I've got several places I hang out. So I've got an academic office, which is where I'm starting off at. And the other benefit of being on campus is you get to benefit from the campus. And we've had a lot of investment in the campus here, which is really exciting. So I'm going to show you a new roof garden, which is just being built. Again, and these are all facilities.
How does it work, John, for the customers at your center? Can they use university facilities?
Yeah, that's it. So the members, so I'm just going to show you this new roof garden.
Awesome.
So the facilities, members that have access to the High Wycombe campus that we're at, they have access to the whole university campus, including the library, as well as the co-working space. So we'll wander over to the library and show the facilities as well. So that's, yeah, a really cool kind of benefit of being attached to a university. Not only the facilities, but the kind of people and network. I'll try not to get out of breath as I'm running around. I always take the stairs. There's a good health tip. As founders, we need to stay healthy, particularly if we're techie and on computers all the time. So always take the stairs. Oh, we have a new atrium as well. So another new large space. You can't really see it.
All right, so that's in development now.
That's it. That's kind of more building happening, which is quite exciting. I will take you into the library. And feel free to fire questions at me while I'm walking, Arthur.
Okay.
So this is the bridge. So we're kind of walking over the kind of bridge. There's a colleague as well, waving to him. So yeah, it's just
brilliant.
Campus.
It's a massive space there.
Yeah. So we're going into the library, and I'll show you some of they've developed a bit of kind of co-working study space in the library as well, which is, again, any BuckSub Oxford Innovation members can access as well, which is really cool. So almost there. I'll give you a 360. So here we are. So quite a big space here. So we've got lots of desk space. Quite quiet at the moment, which is cool.
It's quite spacious.
So I might sort of head slowly back towards my office space. Are you going to return the favour? Give us a tour.
Absolutely. However, my tour won't be as extensive as yours. So let me start from our side. So here we go. So
everybody watching this is going to get motion sickness, I think, aren't they?
I'm going to start from our podcast setup here that we have just on the ground floor, and then let me go out, man. So here we go. That's our reception. Good.
Nice. Very
so
nice.
it's like a massive open space here where people can come in and then, similarly to yourself, work with their laptops down there.
Oh, that's cool.
Then, as we look outside, we have NERIC, which is like a North of England Robotics Center, the building in the background. And they have like a super cool robots for all sort of automation there, including the Boston Dynamics spot. It's quite interesting. We have an article on our website about this center. And then, well, I'm not going to go to each floor, but we have literally 3 floors of office space and co-working.
So what are the different types of businesses you have? What kind of size businesses do you have at your space?
So, all sort of. So we have professional services. We have some really interesting, fast-growing B2B SaaS. Also, we have some businesses that would, for example, build point-of-sale systems for all the Hilton hotels around the world. So it's like software, it's hardware, it's quite incredible business there. And as you can tell, it's like so spacious.
Yeah, very nice.
It's a nice, inspiring space.
Yeah, cool. I've landed back in my office, catching my breath.
Okay, okay. I'm gonna do the same now.
Yeah, so some of the points you were picking up on earlier, I think, yeah, when it comes to business support, I
That's
suppose our main.
Connor, responsible for all
Oh,
our
nice. Hello.
marketing. I have a new interview for you, Connor.
Always good
Just to
to
drop nice
see
cake for us.
happy colleagues.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
But
That's
yeah,
actually quite interesting that I haven't touched on, but whenever we have like businesses that join us, we try to bring them on interviews similar to this one to promote to our network. So maybe on like a finishing note, that was one of our first Oxford Innovation sessions. Drop-in interviews. We still need to come up maybe with a name for it. If anyone has like any questions, would have like any suggestions how we can make the sessions better, please share a comment, just maybe DM us directly or email, and that would be greatly appreciated. John, would you like to add anything?
Yeah, perfect. Well, look, it was great. It was good fun talking to you. There's so much we could talk about when it comes to sort of business support and helping startups, helping business. I think probably speak for both of us. We're always happy to have a chat with anybody really that's just struggling to understand how to move forward, maybe with an idea or a concept. And yeah, I think I particularly value the diversity of the network within Oxford Innovation. I think is a real kind of powerful and compelling thing. So yeah, we're here to help.